Is this the one? This is the one. This is the one.
With Notcry bringing Genshin back and Wuwa making waves,
Is this
it's
the one?
time to talk about tribalism. The gacha space is forever filled with rage and divisive takes, with people picking sides and refusing to engage with one another. If my experience is anything to go by, it's very easy to get caught in the crossfire, and many people will take a simple misunderstanding and extrapolate from there until they think they know everything about your perspective. A lot of this is the fault of content creators, or if not fault, at least responsibility. But unfortunately, the incentives created by the platforms we use and basic human nature makes this whole mess almost inevitable. Fortunately, while the people who revel in all of that are loud, they are a minority. And while it's a little annoying to have to deal with, I do find it fascinating. But what is tribalism anyway? People emotionally invest in the things they care about, be it sports teams, political perspectives, or things like gacha games. Once someone aligns themselves with a specific game or character or creator, they immerse themselves in a niche where all of those around them feel the same about those things. They feel a sense of
S, let's
community,
go.
which makes them feel less alone, and their perspective gets
Medium
reinforced.
S.
But then, when they encounter someone who thinks differently, it no longer feels like a simple disagreement.
What?
Instead, it's seen as an attack on their identity itself, and so, of course, they respond with
the run is
vitriol.
dead, guys. The
People
run is
start
literally
defending
dead.
multi-billion-dollar
The
corporations
run is gone.
like they're a childhood friend.
The run is
One
gone.
interesting aspect is
The
how
run
often
is
they have a
already gone,
gigantic blind spot. When they see the same behavior in others who like a
Oh
different
my
game,
God,
they
the
can
run
see
is
how ridiculous it is,
Bro, at this
but
point, the
instead
run
of
is in, man.
reevaluating
Okay, you know what?
their
She's gonna
own
be a parent now.
perspective, they double down, and whenever the two communities
Nah,
are
she'll
placed
be a
in
great
opposition,
parent.
anger and controversy
We're gonna make a
erupts.
great
Why is
go to
this
ship
content
parent.
everywhere? Why do creators
Absolutely.
embrace it? What are the consequences? And why do I have to deal with the fallout? A key part in this is the role of content creators, and for many it begins with the subtle influence of the algorithm and other similar incentives. Platforms like YouTube reward divisiveness, controversial titles and thumbnails get more clicks, toxic rhetoric gets more comments, hot takes get widely shared and drive engagement. An easy way to stand out amongst a sea of voices clamoring for attention is to make a scene. The algorithm sees the
Yeah, it is
whirlwind
not
of
negotiable, 'cause
activity
we
this
wanna make it
creates as a
easier.
positive and rewards it with ever more exposure. In contrast, a thoughtful, balanced analysis with a less bombastic title will often fade into obscurity,
Bombaclat.
even if it's far more well-researched and well-presented than your average slot 2 content. This leaves creators who see this as more than just a hobby with a tough decision to make. Take the road which they know has a higher chance of leading to success, even if it's not the kind of content they really care for, or gamble their entire career on the hope they'll find a way to build an
Gamble
audience
mention.
without resorting to those tactics. And intentionally or not, creators often lean into it at least a little to drive engagement. When something gets a lot more views, there's a natural pressure to keep producing similar content. Exaggerated emotions and hyperbolic statements keep a certain type of audience coming back, so you'll see creators screaming at the screen in excitement when reacting to a trailer, or crashing out in rage when a game does something they're not happy with. I'd be surprised if they actually react like that when
And
not
there
on
it is.
camera, and if they do,
And
I
there
hope
it
they
is,
get
you know,
some help.
caught.
When everything
Holy
becomes a spectacle, full of
overreacting.
posturing and point scoring, the
Oh,
actual
and
games
there
get
it
pushed
is.
aside, and it's easy for everyone to lose perspective. And once you start
Man, I
yelling and
fucking love
hyperventilating about
overreacting,
one
bro.
thing, even just
I
for
just wanna
effect, if you
overreact for the rest of
don't
my
do
life.
that the next time, then people will feel you're no longer quite as enthusiastic, and since that's what they're there for, they might just drift away. Many creators get stuck in a loop where they have to resort to hyperbole whenever talking about things they love or hate. And unfortunately, every creator who leans into this is setting up a feedback loop of reinforcing bias in their audience. Those kinds of reactions appeal the most to people who themselves are particularly passionate about that subject, whether that's love for one thing or hatred for another. So the more it happens, the more it builds and builds. And then once you have an audience who all feel a particular way about something, any deviation from that expected line might feel like a betrayal to them.
Oh,
The more
claw machines.
passionate the fan base, the more intense the tribal expectations become. That's a recipe for audience capture, erasure of nuance, and even creator burnout if they were playing it up even just a little. And I think the consequences of that point bear much greater emphasis. There are many different reasons people create content: to entertain, to connect with others, to help people play
One?
smarter, to
That's
share passion for the
crazy,
things
bro.
they enjoy, to think
Bro, don't you
critically
dare
and
drop.
spark interesting conversations, or, of course,
Okay,
just to
there we go.
chase success. Tribalism inflames some of these motivations while suppressing others. Many find it
Oh my God,
entertaining, and it
giant
can
is super
create a
quick.
sense of belonging and bring the creator that success. But building an
There
audience around
we
it
go.
reinforces those perverse incentives even further and leaves you with less scope to engage in more nuanced discussions. And as many creators discover, even if you go ahead and make that content anyway, some people in your comments will tell you in no uncertain terms that they don't appreciate you stepping out of the space you created for yourself. Instead, many find themselves in a downward spiral with no way to get out. And unfortunately, whenever all of this is normalized, it spreads out into the rest of the space as well,
Damn,
and
there's
other
a lot of
creators who did
those.
not make those same choices have to deal with the consequences too. When people are used to creators who act this way, it's natural for them to assume that everyone else does as well. Even if you present your thoughts in a more calm and measured way, they will suspect you're being disingenuous and invent ulterior motives behind your words. I'm here because there are things I feel compelled to talk about. If that brings in an audience, then that's amazing, and I'll always appreciate anyone who takes the time to hear my thoughts, but I still talk about the same things even if it didn't. But unfortunately, thanks to the state of things in general, there's no way to convince some people of that fact. A while back, I made a video about my experience returning to Wuthering Waves. Yes, this one again. I enjoyed the game at first, but ended up a little underwhelmed by the time we reached the end of version 1, largely because the exploration didn't feel like exploring to me. I stopped playing for a while, and I didn't make a video like why I stopped playing WoWA, because at the end of the day, it was a very good game with a clear target audience, even if it wasn't for me. Then, when version 2 dropped, I tried it again and found that the changes to the exploration made it feel fantastic for my preferences. A perfect opportunity to make the kind of video I enjoy. One which explores the pros and cons of different approaches to game design and praises the devs for making such huge improvements for people like me without making it any less fun for the people who had enjoyed the game before. That's an incredibly hard balance to strike, and it deserves far more recognition.
Yeah, that's how it
I went
works.
out of my way
the
to
moment you
make it
stop
clear
playing,
that
you're done.
even in version 1,
You are
for many
actually done,
people
you
who
stop
wanted
playing.
something different from the game, the choices we were made were objectively great. Overall, Kura did a good job, and they just took it to another level in Rinasita. I made 2 mistakes in that video. The first was assuming people would understand. The script I wrote was over twice as long at first, with much more detailed explanation of where my perspective came from. But since it all seemed obvious to me, I cut it down to the minimum. The second was living in my own little bubble where people enjoy hearing perspectives which are different from their own. Instead, a certain group of people heard even the mildest critique and interpreted it as a hate-filled rant from someone with a dark and biased agenda. To this day, many
that's
of
a
them
big
just
no-no.
assume that's where I'm coming from.
That
I
is
should
a
have done a
big
better
no-no.
job of getting my point across, and I'm thankful to the many people who had frank discussions on that video, which gave me the chance to explain myself more clearly. It's just a shame that some people are so tribalistic that they can't even bring themselves to hear a different point of view. The main change this has led to in my videos is that I'm more comfortable letting them be whatever length gives me the room to get my point across, even if it's far longer than the 10 to 15 minutes I had aimed for previously. I still try to condense them down to be respectful of people's time, but on balance, it's better to be a little more relaxed. It's still sad that people are so insecure in their own thoughts that when someone disagrees with them, they feel the need to attack, but at least I made some fun merch out of my favorite of the comments. As that example emphasizes, people get used to all of this pretty quickly, begin to think in terms of us versus them, and start to aggressively apply that to
okay, check. You
creators
know
too.
what? Yeah, I fucking hate E33. Yep, that's why I'm fuck E33, alright? Yep, clip it, ship it, I'm done,
When
right?
people see the world
Holy
through
shit,
this
it's
lens of
not, it's
tribalism,
not,
they're
bro.
forever trying
Yep,
to fit
I'm just
people
gonna
into
rip
those
it
neat
out.
and tidy categories.
Yep,
Any
I just
critique of
rip it
something
out.
they like, especially if they didn't experience
Now
the
you're gonna finally
downsides for
stop
themselves, will instantly
asking,
see
bro.
you written
We're
off as
done
a
here.
hater, a
27%.
grifter, or even
There we
outright
go.
racist
That's the
if you happen
fucking
to
shit.
feel
1,000
disappointed
spin
with
and
something
thingamabobber.
even vaguely associated with non-Western cultures. Any
Holy
praise for something they
basis.
dislike and you're at best misguided, but more likely a disingenuous shill who is only in it for the views. And of course, if you express concern over things like power creep, the direction of the endgame, the predatory practices, and so on, then you just suck at the game and you're salty that you can't get all the rewards. From just a single video, people extrapolate an entire worldview, an idea of who you are as a person, and nothing will convince them that they might have been mistaken. And the moment they have that in mind, either from some past encounter or just because their echo chamber said so, they'll remain forever convinced that they are right. Instead of engaging with a discussion like most people would, and saying things like, I disagree with your take because, they come in with heated arguments against the thing they think you said, even if they haven't watched the video at all, and often do not even have the slightest clue what you actually talked about. One of the most important skills in life is the ability to listen and to learn. Nobody knows everything. Nobody is right 100% of the time, and there is no such thing as objective fact when you're talking about opinions on a video game. Anyone who claims to that is being disingenuous disingenuous or is locked into their own personal echo chamber. For anyone who does this, just know you're missing out. Those of us who can handle differences of opinion have much richer and more nuanced experience with the games we play because we get to hear how other people felt about it too. And it does make you wonder what the end game of these people is. Do they want the new people to the game to feel afraid of sharing their perspective since they know they might just get attacked for disagreeing? Do they want videos filled with more caveats than content? Do they want any strong opinions to just be left unsaid? Do they want creators to lie to them and hide their true perspective out of fear of getting hate?
I would never
or
lie,
do
by
they
the way.
really want a world where
I
the
would
moment
never,
someone
ever lie.
isn't completely
Lying is a
ecstatic
big no-no.
with a game, they have to
Absolutely
stop
not.
talking about it at all? Because I have news for them. No game is perfect. If that's the bar we have to pass, then nobody would ever talk about anything. Personally, I look at content creators who analyze films, TV, books, and so on, and wish more of the gaming sphere would follow that blueprint. Over there, people analyze what makes films tick, what makes the best successful.
Oh,
what
actually,
flaws-
bro, yo, wait, speaking of this, I really like this Genshin as well. Huge shout out. I mean, like, there are like millions of subscribers, so like they will give a fuck. You know, there's these two channels that I watch quite a bit. One of this guy is called OutShiftX. I watch like almost every single one of his like Game of Thrones and like House of Dragons analysis. Because I actually really like Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, right? And then he also did a couple of like basically analyzing the shows and TV. So OutShiftX, insane show analysis guy. Actually, I just OutShiftX. I've been watching a lot of OutShiftX. Okay, but anyways, yeah.
Flaws made others fail to reach their full potential. It's fascinating, and every time I'm left with a deeper appreciation for the art, even if I disagreed with a creator's perspective. Those are the videos I try to create, and one of my favorite things is seeing comments which start with "thanks for sharing your perspective," even though I completely disagree. Thankfully, it seems like only a minority, even in the gaming sphere, are die-hard tribes people. So many people are open, engaged, and have such interesting things to say, which bring new understanding to the conversation. The tribes people often feel louder, but in my comments at least, the ones who want to explore ideas together are much more
I've been
prevalent.
streaming for
And
7
one aspect
hours,
of this
bro.
tribalism, which I'm actually in two minds about, is the way people reject creators who wish to return to games they used to love. The reason I'm in two minds about this is that there are undeniably creators who deliberately stoke the flames in the hopes of getting views, and these creators can genuinely make a community fall apart. When they move on to a different game, it can feel like a relief, because when the toxicity is gone, those who stick around have far more space to have nuanced discussions. But at the same time, many others get lumped in with this as well. Even creators who have always been constructive get this treatment, even if they barely shared why they moved on to something else in the first place. If they were to return, it would be a net positive to the space, yet people treat them just the same. And there are those in the middle too, people who criticize out of genuine love for the game, and maybe lean into the hyperbole because that's what drives the algorithm.
Doesn't even look
It's
like
kinda
Grass
sad,
Wonder,
but it feels like
holy
that might
shit,
be the
Abby,
price
your
you
emotes
need
are
to pay when you
ass,
make those
bro.
kinds of choices.
Your emotes make me want to commit tribalism, bro. Good emotes and bad emotes.
I guess
Holy
it just
shit.
depends how
We
far
need to
they
have a
took it and how
standard, little bro.
honest they were along
We
the
need to have a
way.
standard,
The
little bro.
people in my
Having something
comments
better
who
than
fall the most into
game.
tribalism regularly
Yeah,
devolve
I
into
think I'm
pure
just gonna
comedy, to the point
yap
where I could
around
half
with like
believe that they
parents
were
for like
legitimately
my own
joking.
major at
For
this point.
example, ever since that video about Renasita,
Yeah, I'll probably do
which
my
I
own
mentioned
major.
earlier,
Actually, you know
there have
what?
been a handful of people who
I
like to
do
comment on
have my
every
own
move video I
Taiki
make
shadow.
and to assume I'm making some unfounded
With
criticism, even
speed.
when it's the polar opposite of what
Or
my
rather
video
wit.
actually says.
I have a wit
The
Taiki
comments
shadow.
which made me
Ah,
want
nah,
to
but that's kinda
finally
rough.
make this video were from a week or two ago when I made a video speculating about Frolova. She's a prominent antagonist who had been in the story from the beginning, who was about to become playable. For a long time, I had wanted to talk about the disappointing pattern across gachas in general, where antagonists have their misdeeds wiped away, and this was the perfect opportunity. The video explores where people's concerns came from, why antagonists
Media
and
unbearable
villains are so
harshness
important
as
to
yeah, I'll
stories,
just trade
why
this
I
then.
disagree with the idea that evil doesn't sell, and then covers our past encounters with Frolova and the 3 paths they could have taken with her. Keep her as a pure villain, add context but keep her towards the darker end of moral grey, or turn her into an Uwu doppelganger. Obviously, I wanted the first or second, and I had faith that Kuro would deliver. As I said in the video, I felt the middle option was most likely. And as I'll cover in more detail in my next video, they did a fantastic job with her story, and she's a shining example of what I want from an antagonist in any game. My original video was
Am I
correct
gonna
on
stream
every
tomorrow?
point. And yet, the moment they played
Yes.
Frolova's story,
Yes,
these
'cause tomorrow's
comments
a big day
piled
for
into
Epic
my
7.
video and said my take had
Massive
aged
day
like
for the
milk.
Epic 7
Apparently,
community.
I wonder how they'll handle this, and hope they'll go with option B is a bad take, especially when they do indeed go with option B. It's wild to me that people will so confidently leave a public comment on something they so clearly know nothing about. While I enjoy the entertainment that comes from having these bizarre takes in my comments, I can't help but feel sad for these people who probably miss out on so many interesting discussions because of their myopia. And in the interests of balance, it's important to note that while my 2 examples so far have focused on Wuthering Waves, it's just as prevalent in other communities as well. My takes on Nutland, for example. Again, I always take pains to emphasize that my perspective is just that, one person's view on the experience and far from objective truth. Many people had a different experience, and I've had many enlightening discussions with them which helped me appreciate the story in ways which the original experience sadly didn't capture for me. That's the whole point of my videos, to acknowledge that everyone feels differently about each part of the game, to spark discussion, and through exploring what made me feel the way I did, to get to learn why other people had a different take. But, of course, many people hate it when you give even the mildest of critiques, and in their mind it becomes, I hate this is stupid, anyone who likes it is stupid, and it should not exist. Guess that might just be how they approach things that they don't like. I just posted a video where I tried to explore why I personally had such a different reaction to the upcoming Not Cry character designs compared to the ones from Natlan. I leaned on my background in design and focused on the part that matters at this point, given how little we know about Not Cry. The visuals, the aesthetics, the vibes, all highly subjective,
Genshin.
Which I made clear from start to finish.
Genshin
and many
is the
people
best
said
game.
they had the same experience.
Absolutely.
Other commenters pointed to the lore as the justification for the way Hoyo handled Natlan.
There's a
But
reason why
frankly, lore explains
Genshin
why
never
things
dies.
might be the way
Right,
they
there's a reason
are,
why
but that doesn't change
Genshin is the
experience
best
of how
gacha game
people
in
felt
time.
towards the
Second
designs
best
at
after
first.
HSR.
One comes before
right?
the other, and the more
After
disjointed
best
the
after
first
Uma
impressions
Musume.
are, the more the lore and story would have to fix in order for things to feel coherent by the end. For many of us, it simply did not
If you
bridge
love it
that
so much
gap,
to a summer
and
quest,
even
I'm waiting for
that's beside
Dajobu to
the
give us
point.
200 subs.
The
I can
video
play
was
Genshin.
not
Otherwise,
an
I literally
attempt to gather
cannot play
evidence and
Genshin and then
present an
Dajobu give us 200
argument.
subs.
It
You know?
was
I
not
would
about
love to.
right
I would
or
love to.
wrong at all. It was an observation that lots of people feel a similar way about these things, and an exploration of
Genshin
where
did on
those feelings
PS4,
come
buy a
from.
PS5.
But while those
You know, get a
commenters
job
got their
and all
hackles
that.
raised and ended up missing the point I was trying to make, their perspective on the game itself is perfectly valid, and at least they engaged in the discussion. Meanwhile, the ones who really missed the boat were those who interpret criticism of anything related to Natlan as outright racism. Out of over 1,000 comments,
Whoa! Racism! Because you are racist. People are racist. End of story. Some of you are just racist and you don't even know it. White women loves Western aesthetics in her Asian gacha game. Oh my god, bro.
I saw one person who is an actual bigot, and they're not welcome here. Accusing people of racism because they felt a video game's aesthetics were incohesive is utterly unhinged.
Goodness.
People on both sides of that whole Natlan debate fall prey to this same tribalism. I've seen some people who agreed with my perspective, but
And you know what? Why are even Western CCs playing gacha games, bro? Gacha games are like for Asians, you know? It's literally an Asian ass game. Every single mainstream guy is all Asian games. Play a fucking, play the Western games, right? Play them League, play the Valorant, and all that kind of stuff, right? Leave Asian games alone, bro. Otherwise, you're literally just racist, right? You're literally
bashing those who like Natlan's
Please don't
designs.
do that.
That's just as disappointing as
Yeah,
the
play your
behavior
fucking
of
Clash
those who
of
bash
Clans,
people for
little bro.
disliking
Right,
them.
play your
If
Clash
you find
Royale.
yourself on the
Yeah,
verge of
yeah,
giving
exactly.
in to that
Leave my
temptation,
gacha
it's worth
game alone,
taking a
right?
step
This
back
is
and
not
maybe
for the
think
West.
about it for an hour or two before you go
Yeah,
ahead
don't
and
clip that, brother.
reply.
Don't clip that. Yep. Otherwise, I'll
Tribalism
actually be
kills
nuts.
nuanced discussion, especially when it comes to critiques of games which people care about so much. There's always a reason behind your like or dislike of something, and figuring them out can be fascinating. Far more interesting than just saying this is peak or this is ass and leaving it at that. For those
This
who
is
agree, gaining
ass.
greater insight can be validating, and it can actually reduce resentment and bring back appreciation for the other parts of the game they liked, or even provide enough emotional distance that they can start seeing the positives of the parts which didn't work
Oh my God,
for
it's
them.
trash.
For those who don't agree, it can help them understand the other perspective on that point, and maybe spark discussion which lets them share their love for it in a way which might help others see the positives at last. While the echo chambers are loud, they really are a tiny minority of the community at large. In case anyone skipped to the end, here's your too long didn't watch, woman. Until next time.
Too long didn't watch, and there it is, right? And there it is. Okay, so chat, what do you guys learn from this? What do you guys learn from this? Absolute cinema, right? I know exactly what I do, even though I don't really know what is that, right? What do you guys learn from this? Tribalism is bad. Gacha women. That is kind of crazy. You are not giving me a good look, guys, right? This is literally the best chat, or rather, allegedly the worst chat in the entire world, right? And we are not beating the allegations of this one. We have to mold ourselves to be the best chat in the end, because we are already the elitists, right? We laugh at casuals. We literally shame casuals out of door, right? So like we need to beat them allegations. You get what I'm saying, right? We love every single part of the society as long as you love gacha games. Absolutely, right? And yeah. We need Kurobo and Hoyo. Okay, chat, you know what? What's the thing though? I think the whole. Oh my god. Okay, actually, you know what? No, I'm just gonna shut the fuck up. Go. Oh my god. Never mind. Forget it. Oh my god， 这酒话是说个放屁一样东西，没什么没事大不了。Okay, but maybe next time we had a little bit of a yeah, it's all good, right? It's all good. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't think we need to worry about it too much, right? Don't worry about it, because this kind of stuff, it just comes and goes, right? Literally comes, and then after a couple of weeks, if not months, and it just goes away. So people will just move on to the next new thing again, right? Absolutely. You have cooled your last cool, my man.